Welcome to Homekeepers. How are you today, my friend? Why don't you grab a cup of tea and just sit and join with us today? It's going to be a good program, and maybe you've never even seen it before, never have seen the Homekeepers sign. Well, my name is Arthelene Rippy, and I've been with this show a long time, and we like to deal with those things that affect the home. And so I hope this won't be your last time, that you'll stick with us, and also always like to send hugs and kisses out to our regular viewers. I don't have the words to tell you how much I appreciate you. Those steadfast, the older you get, you really do appreciate people who are honorable, steadfast, they stay there, good times and bad, and we've got those kind of viewers here today. So welcome all of you. You're going to meet an author. I really do like to interview authors because at least together we know a lot about one thing we can talk about, and that is the book that they've written and the book that I've read. And that is true today. My guest, Linda Gilden, now she's written a bunch of books, as you can see. We're going to mainly talk about personality perspectives. And this subject has been addressed before, but maybe you didn't get the importance of it. That we're all born with a specific personality type. There are 4. We'll get into that a little bit more when she's with me. And when you understand these, the Bible says, good understanding giveth favor. And so this will help you understand maybe your husband in a way you never have before, your wife, your children, your co-workers, and all of this. So I hope you'll listen very carefully to what Linda has to say. And I'm going to join Sister Stephanie over there. We're going to make a cheese ball. These things are so convenient and usable and wear well because there's no end to the very different ways that you can put one together. This one's going to have some bacon and some other cheese, cream cheese, and then some cheddar, I think, and some ranch dressing powder. And all. Boy, I think it's going to taste really good. So I'll join Stephanie for that in just a second. After, I probably this is the last time I will offer the beautiful cross necklace and earrings. There it is. Oh, girls, wouldn't you like to have that? Well, you can. That's the good news. If you shop with credit card, 1-800-229-0059, call. There'll be someone there to take your information. And also, if you write to us, you can write to us at Homekeepers Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758. And we'll take care of that for you. And boy,
I have it on.
Look, she's got it on, and it matches your dress. Mm-hmm. You are just what's
I did good
happening
today.
Now. You know, I was talking about the credit card. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm not into a lot of online stuff because I'm old. That's the reason. So I've got this grandson that works for Publix, and they pay him online, and he pays his tithes online. I don't think the kid ever sees it.
It's cash, yeah.
And so he bought my car. I got a different car, and he bought my car. And did I ever give him a bargain? Oh, my gosh. He's indebted to me
That's
for
a
life.
grandma bargain.
Yeah, it's a grandma bargain. When it could have been a good trade-in bargain. Mm-hmm. And so this thing comes in the mail. It looks kind of interesting, but it looks like something you'd pitch, too. But I did open it up, and I looked and looked. It said $1,000. And then way up in the corner was his name.
Oh.
I would have pitched that thing. So this newfangled banking system got me confused. Mm-hmm. Now you're in the middle. What do you do?
I do pretty much everything online.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, being the optimistic person that I am, I think it's all going to crash, and you're all going to be sorry.
Well, and that could be a possibility.
You don't have money in the bank.
I love the instant gratification of it, though. Is that really like? I have one bill. I'll go to the bank and pay because it's instantly. It shows me my balance paid down, and it's just an instant gratification for me.
Well, that gives us a lot of insight into her
Sad,
personality,
huh?
doesn't it? All right, you got 2 packages of cream cheese.
I do. It's softened cream cheese. I have some bacon. I have cheese. I have cheddar cheese. I have onion, and I have some ranch dressing mix. And then okay, so shall we tell the story about
Got to tell the story,
Yes.
because if our guests weren't here today, we'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, so we're down here searching diligently for the pecans that go on. That's good. Mm-hmm. for the pecans that go on the outside of the cheese ball, and they have disappeared. The things just disappear
We have
around
no one
here
to blame, but they're
occasionally.
gone.
So we're like, oh great, we have no nuts or
pecans.
anything, and the guest screams, I have some in my purse. So
I think it's going to be better because
Yeah.
she had these
They're like smoked almonds.
kind of smoked. So
yeah, so thank God for big purses.
thank God for Linda.
And
yeah.
women who carry all
Okay.
their stuff. Okay, so ranch dressing.
That's the one. That's the ingredient that I thought sounds really interesting.
Yep, sharp cheddar cheese.
And there's, as I said at the top of the
Green
show, there's no
onions.
end how you can work these. But boy, they're nice to have out there with some crackers when somebody comes
Oh
by.
yeah,
Or
you can put the nuts on there. I'm gonna put some bacon in here. My son would like this because my son loves
I think
bacon.
several years ago on this show we did a. Those are good. We did one with cranberries for Christmas.
Uh-huh. Doesn't that sound good right now? This sounds really
But
good though,
maybe you've
bacon.
never made one in your life, so this is a
They're so super easy.
good example for you to look out, because sometimes people will look at something and think, boy, that looks complicated. But
You know, all those church socials you get invited.
oh yeah,
I'm stuck. Okay. Let me get in it
your
here.
areol's sticking up
Yeah.
back of your neck, but that's
Okay, so
necessary.
here's what I'm gonna do.
Oh,
Just gonna spray my hand a little
never
bit.
thought of that.
I'm gonna get in here.
Good idea.
I come up with a few.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna make a ball.
And you know, this is something, no matter what time of year, it's very festive. You
Oh my
can
gosh,
make
this
it to
smells
adapt to the
so,
season.
so good.
You can make a really
bacon.
pretty one at Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And 4th of July.
Yeah.
4th of July, you could put strawberries and blueberries in it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great.
Okay, we're gonna.
Okay. we'll
Okay,
do it.
that's a big cheese ball. So we're just gonna roll it around and then
And Linda's almonds.
almonds. And then you're gonna wanna, of course,
wanna let
put
it
this in
set
the
a little bit.
refrigerator for a little while and let it get, you know, solidified a little bit. But we're not gonna, we're just gonna taste it.
Uh-huh. This is another one I think will be gone before the credits.
You think? Look at
finish
that.
rolling. Yeah. Grab yourself a, well, I could use
Oh,
a
look,
knife.
here's a
Yeah.
smoother.
Yeah, that would be,
With my hands all here, this is classy.
that would be more classy.
This is classy with my dirty hands.
Oh
Hey,
my.
keeping it classy.
Whoever thought of the ranch dressing? What do you think?
I'm gonna stay down here for a little bit and do a
Behind
little
the
munching.
camera? I'm telling you, it's absolutely delicious, and it will only get more delicious when it has a chance.
That bacon. Oh,
That's a real winner. We don't
That
have to be
is.
ashamed of that.
no.
And if you want the recipe, you can have it for free.
Free.
You don't get much free stuff anymore.
No, you don't.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
That's okay.
Email us. That's the best way. But if you don't have email, I love getting your letters. But we'll send it right out to you. It's a good one to have in your little recipe library, I promise you. Stay with me. I want you to meet Linda. Linda, the lady with the almonds.
Yes.
That's the way we'll remember her.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, just write to the address on your screen, or you can email your request to arthelene@rippy.org.
Well, my guest, Linda Gilden, is a very accomplished woman, and we will never, ever forget her for having a bag of smoked almonds in your purse. Thank you so much for saving the day. All right, you've written a bunch of books, but you are the director of writing programs for Class Seminars Incorporated, Class Christian Writers Conference, and Carolina Christian Writers Conference. That's only part, but congratulations on all of those. When you were a little girl, did you ever think you would write? Did you?
I did. I wanted to be a writer, and probably started in the 2nd grade. I had a teacher who let me read, of course, a wonderful essay that I had written in the 2nd grade. She let me read it in front of the class, and I think that was kind of the clincher for a while there until I got to college. And there I had a teacher who really discouraged me. And it was not a fun part, fun thing to go through. However, it made me realize the power of words. She said to me, she'd given me back an essay I wrote, this was my creative writing teacher, that I thought was for sure a shoe-in in some magazine, somewhere. And the only thing it said on there was, you have nice handwriting.
Oh, and you were in college?
I was in college. And of course, we didn't have computers back then. We handwrote everything. And that's not a bad thing to tell somebody. But if you're talking about this essay where they poured their heart out and they've done their best, and the person is a melancholy personality, very purposeful, very focused, that just kind of screams, I didn't have anything good to say about the writing, so I decided you had nice handwriting.
But the Lord knew you would persevere anyway.
Well, He did, but it took me about 15 years to get back to it. It was that discouraging to me. I just felt like I couldn't do it, so I might as well do something else, which I did for a while.
Let's talk about a couple of these. This is called to write. Is this for anybody who's interested in writing, and maybe some shortcuts for them?
There are a lot of shortcuts in there. It's for anybody who really thinks they might want to write. Every time I go to the grocery store, almost, someone will say, oh, I've been meaning to call you. I would like to write a book. Wow. And this book helps them discern whether or not they really want to write that book. People see the books, they think it's fun, glamorous, and all that kind of stuff. They don't get that it's a lot of hard work.
A lot of sweat equity in it, right?
A lot of sweat equity, a lot of other people doing your laundry and your husband going and picking up meals all the time. You just kind of get in a cocoon to write this book and don't come out a whole lot until it's done.
Yeah. That's the same way with, I've gone to a lot of music conferences and folks who write music. They boy, if that creative juice is flowing, you have to stay with it. I think Ralph Carmichael once, or can't be sure that, I think it was, but like 4 days later he came out, hadn't had a shower or anything. We're going to go ahead and put your website up early so that anybody who's interested in a book like this, and I have a feeling a lot of them are, it's called Call to Write. And then this one, Mama was the Queen of Christmas. Boy, Mama didn't leave any stone unturned, did she?
My mother loved Christmas, and so I wrote this book mainly as a tribute to her. She just really practiced Christmas all year long. She never went anywhere that she didn't buy an ornament or find something she could hang on the tree. And so this book is kind of a combination of my own mother's traditions and things she did, and then my own things that I have come up with and done with my family through the years. I don't want anybody to think, though, that this is how we practice Christmas. Every little thing in this book happens every Christmas. It does not. I've had people say to me, that wore me out, and I was so guilty that I didn't do all this, I just quit reading. That is not the purpose of this. Try one idea this year, one next year, or anything that can make your Christmas more special.
I think a lot of young moms are looking for things. So this is called Mama Was the Queen of Christmas, and your mama really was.
She loved it.
This is one we're going to talk to, Clues to Building Better Relationships, Personality Perspectives. And the personality traits you're talking about were coined by, hope I can pronounce his name, Elias Galenus, who was the most important physician in Rome, and about in 160 AD, 170 AD, he came up with these 4 personality traits, which I have taught through the years, and they're still recognized today in the psychological field and so forth, and everyone has one, you do, my friend, that's dominant. No one is totally
right.
And I know them as phlegmatic, sanguine, choleric, and melancholy. And at that time, they thought they were caused, or they were a result of bodily fluids, which would seem pretty weird to us now. And in your book, you call them purposeful, powerful, playful, and peaceful. But my question is, how did you get interested in this in the first place enough to write a book?
Well, you mentioned class seminars, and when I first wrote my very first book back in the early 2000s, I needed to know how to promote that book. And so I went to this speaker training thinking I was going to learn how to speak. And they gave me wonderful tools for speaking, but there was a tiny little segment that was on the personalities. And
Florence Littauer?
That was Florence Littauer, and I had never heard that before. And that little tiny segment of that seminar meant so much to me because I had teenagers at home. I had 3 children and a husband, most of whom were different personalities. And the minute I walked back in the door, excuse me, my daughter, who was a teenager, she was the one who kind of knew how to push my buttons. If you know what I mean. I think everybody has one of those at least.
The Lord makes sure you do.
Absolutely. But I walked in and she said something to me. I don't remember her words, but I remember my reaction. And I said to her, I said, guess what? I am not going to react the way I've been reacting to that. You are not going to be able to make me get upset over something like that again because I know why you said it that way. And she just kind of looked at me.
How old was she at the time?
She was probably 13, somewhere in there.
Perfect.
And so I began to realize the value of the personalities to not only me as a speaker and knowing the personalities of my audience, but my family. I mean, just to know that we can do this. We can get along much better than we were, and we weren't having major problems, but things could be better, you know. So
That's why this book is important. It's called Personality Perspectives. You can get it through the website because, as I said at the top of the show, good understanding giveth favor. And when we can understand each other better, that's huge. You know Tim LaHaye, you know who he is?
Yes.
He was the first one I read maybe 30 more years ago, Spirit Control Temperament. And I've met him a couple of times and walked in here, and after a little bit he says, you know, I just love choleric sanguine women. He had me tagged just like this. Now, this is why they're, like with your 13-year-old daughter, this is why there's going to be a collision course. And there's no animus behind it. It's just, that's just the way people are. Now, the beautiful thing is that we all born with strengths and weaknesses, but Jesus came to make strengths out of our weaknesses, all these natural weaknesses. You wrote this with, how do you pronounce it?
Tama.
Tama?
Tama
At Westman. So you're melancholy, you say?
I am very melancholy.
What is she?
She is extremely choleric. It was kind of
that's
funny.
beautiful.
Well, yeah, and you know, we have people who ask us all the time, we don't understand how y'all get along so well. Well, we don't understand either, really, except that God has just given us our friendship as a gift. But because we both understand the personalities, we're able to cut each other some slack. And for instance, we were writing this book, and I'd get up and I would start typing this wonderful, you know, all this explanation about how to written this chapter and how to arrived where I had, and just filling her in on all the details. And then I would say, what do you think about this? And probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 questions in there, because I'm melancholy, I'm purposeful, I want her to understand, I want her to have all the information. So I would get an email back from her and it would say, great, yes, fine, thanks, you too. How
And that
choleric
teacher
can
had
that
already
be?
nuked you once.
Exactly. I mean, right there, she's doing what she does best, just answering those questions, bullet lists, let me get what I need to do done and get out of there. And I wrote mine in just a really good way that I would do it to understand it. So we had these kind of exchanges constantly, but it was a good balance for writing a book, and it was a good balance. It is a good balance for our friendship.
Oh, well, for life now, this has to be huge with marriage partners.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you understand your husband better after you?
Oh, yes, for sure. I thought I understood him pretty well before, but I think I understood him so much better. He is pretty strong choleric, with a little bit of sanguine mixed in there, and so we're pretty much opposites. And you've heard opposites attract. We hear that all the time.
They do.
So, you know, that's a good thing, because where I'm strong, he may be weaker, but with his strength, my weaknesses are kind of played up. And for instance, we went in an elevator at a hotel the other day, and we're standing there and push the button waiting for it. And my inclination would be, oh, Lord, please let that car be empty so I don't have to talk to anybody. You know, and I'm sure he didn't tell me what he thinks, but he, you know, is probably thinking, well, who can I meet in this elevator? So the door's open and there's another couple in there. And I'm thinking, do I have to get in this elevator? Of course, he grabs my hand, and it would have looked really bad if I'd, you know, resisted. So in we went. Well, before the doors even closed, he says to the other couple, "Hello, how are y'all today?" And I'm kind of getting a little closer to the wall, you know, just because I don't need this conversation. I'll never see them again. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm an introvert. He's an extrovert. It's all part of this personality thing. But by the time we got to the bottom floor, I was afraid that he and this other man were going to make dinner plans for the two couples, you know. But it's just the
Usually
way.
it's the women who.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that this is intentional by the Lord because his iron sharpens iron. And if everybody were exactly the same, I don't think so much would be accomplished, but also it'd be an extremely boring world. So this this affected you enough to write a book on it, which must be powerful. And you're also a personality coach?
Trainer is what
Trainer?
we call them.
Yeah.
And we do that through class seminars. They actually, besides having the speaking training, they have what they call the personalities, which Florence Littauer developed. And that's this whole seminar that around the country where they have small groups of people that come in and train on this very subject, on the personalities.
So why do people come to you?
Because they want to learn about the personalities. They want it. Sometimes it's work people, though. You know, it's bosses. It's people who work in a workplace where there is not the harmony they would like, and once they learn, you know, that you don't just go plop a whole bunch of stuff on a melancholy's desk that she's got in order and like she wants it, or that if you tell your choleric person, you know, give them a bullet list or give them the specific goals, and then they take off and learn what it is with your work people, you know. So we have all people that come from all areas.
In the workplace, it probably keeps you from going completely nuts.
I think
To have
yes.
some understanding and then to kind of feed into that, you'll have more harmony. Another, if I can remember right, I've heard that the melancholy thinks it, the choleric makes it, the sanguine sells it, and the phlegmatic enjoys it.
That's
pretty right in?
That's pretty right.
Pretty right
And
on.
one of the reasons that we decided to write this book like it was and adopt a more conversational tone, we had been studying and teaching the personalities, and some people still struggle with these words. The choleric, the melancholy, the phlegmatic, those are not everyday words. So we wanted to take it and put, you know, we just call the melancholy most of the time the purposeful person, or the choleric the powerful, because those are traits of that, the peaceful phlegmatic, or the sanguine, the playful sanguine. We just
They're the
put,
salespeople.
oh, they're wonderful,
Watch
they're
out for a
fun.
sanguine. They're going to
Absolutely.
sell you a car.
Yes.
So once this information is out there, to me, it's very obvious what you can do with it. First thing, you understand the person, that's the way they're born. But also that it does not, for a moment, excuse bad behavior.
No.
Like, oh, I can't help it because I'm a choleric or I'm a sanguine. I can't help that.
No, absolutely not. We have a responsibility to live in the best manner that we can. And I think the information, if you study the personalities, that just helps you to do that better and to get along with those around you. You know, in Romans 12:18 it says, if at all possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with all men. And I think sometimes people gloss over that, but that little middle clause says, as far as it depends on you, you can make a difference in your relationships.
Yeah, and when you know this about yourself and you understand those the things that go into making that personality, boy, I've done it more than once. Just take it to the Lord and say, okay, this is my bend, and help me. Like every morning, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable, that God came to make us whole. We're not really born that way.
Right. But I think, you know, another thing that I think studying this has really helped me, and I feel like it has other people, it gave me even greater freedom than I ever had before to be myself. It didn't matter if I was sitting at a table, and I enjoy going out to lunch and being with my friends, but normally if they're all sanguine people there and I'm sitting there, I'm probably not going to say a whole lot.
Say a word.
But I'm going to enjoy being with them. So, you know, I think it gave me the freedom to be me. and sit there and not do, or to, hold back and be comfortable with it without feeling, oh, well, I really should, what's wrong with me? Why can't I talk to these people or join in the conversation? I don't need to.
Yes, and sadly, the time is running out. We've had the website up for a while. The name of the book is Personality Perspectives, and my guest, Linda Gilden, has written it. I highly recommend it because it's going to give you more understanding with your mate, with your children, with your in-laws, with your relatives, with your colleagues at work. And it came to you at a good time because your children were, what, about teenagers?
I had 2 teenagers and a
Wasn't
younger
this these
child.
light bulbs going on? Oh, yeah.
It
That
was,
fits.
and now that they're adults, they're doing the same thing in their families. They're looking at their children and saying, how can I parent this child better because I know her personality or his personality.
And remember, the things we're talking about were kind of coined, they use the word coined, back just not long after the time of Christ.
That's right.
And it is still recognized, and it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just something that you can learn, and like I've said many times, give you some understanding. I imagine you're pretty quick now in new surroundings and meeting people, because these things evidence themselves very quickly.
They
when you meet
really do.
someone.
You can sometimes you can even tell by the way they're dressed and the way they carry themselves. They're confident. And we were just sitting at breakfast this morning in the hotel, and my husband said, "Well, that's a table full of sanguines over there, isn't it?"
So he's
kind
you've educated him.
Oh yes, everybody in my family kind of knows that sometimes I'm sizing them up by their personality, or they've learned to kind of do the same thing, or to realize they act the way or react the way they do at a situation because of their personality. And it's not bad, we just need to understand that.
It's just like a huge light bulb comes on when you're dealing with someone, and when you understand, it makes life a whole lot simpler. You're not always like this when you have some understanding, and the Lord's working on all of us. As I said earlier, all 4 personality types have strengths and weaknesses. Not one of them's better than the other. It's not any advantage to be one or the others. However, you were born, and then God wants you to take that, and He wants to refine it, and He wants to make it better, because His whole purpose is to make you whole in every way. We are out of time, but I hope you'll join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you. It's just...
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.